Yeah, and if you are interested in technology, Rochelle, there is no better place to be this week. This place is absolutely heaving. Everybody here waiting to see what the latest tech is and when they can get hold of it. Behind me, this side, we've got karaoke machines. Over in that direction, we've got robotic vacuum cleaners. There is absolutely something for everybody here. And one of the really interesting things here is just how well China is represented this year, because this is a massive, enormous event. It takes over much of Las Vegas, the hotels, the convention center. There are some 175,000 people in town just for this week, and a lot of Chinese companies as well. Out of 4,500 exhibitors here, 10% of them are from Shenzhen. That is just 10% from that area of China, whereas 1,500 are from China. So around about a quarter of exhibitors from that part of the world. And one of the areas where the Chinese are really leading is AI, it's robotics. And we get some more analysis on robotics and what we're seeing with Mike Murphy from Quartz. And just talk to us about the kind of robotics trends that we're seeing here. Are we talking like human-like robots? Are we talking cute little things, or a bit of everything?
I mean, it is kind of a bit of everything, to be honest. You know, the trend in the last few years has been these kind of like sort of Android-shaped robots recently, and we're definitely seeing more of that this year. But you know, at the same time, one of China's best consumer electronics success stories recently has been DJI. I mean, and I would definitely say robots, drones, that's the same thing. Drones are just flying robots. And you know, at the same time, you've also got robot vacuum cleaners, as you say, and smaller things like that. I saw one last night that's a robot that just goes around your house projecting movies for some reason, in case you want that in your life. But yeah, I mean, it's really a wide variety of form factors, all the way up to self-driving cars. I mean, Baidu is here with their self-driving cars, and it really is everything in between.
It's interesting you mentioned DJI, because they've almost, well, I guess they have taken the kind of drone industry and almost made it their own. I mean, there are very few competitors that are that big.
It's true, and only ones that are halfway decently sized are also Chinese, like Unique are also Chinese. And it's kind of crazy just how much DJI has consolidated that industry. It really is one of the first consumer electronics success stories from China, where they created the industry. They are the Apple of drones, essentially, and they forced all of the American competitors pretty much out of the industry. Just this week, GoPro announced they're shutting their entire drone division down, and GoPro was seen as a good challenger for DJI, but really there's no one that's able to iterate anywhere near as quickly, make their drones smaller, faster, smarter, and have more features, to the point where we're sort of seeing what they're doing as like what Apple did for the iPhone, in terms of iterating every year on something you actually want to buy.
I mean, this is a consumer event. This is not like industry stuff. This is for people like you and I. Yeah, are people really going to buy humanoid androids or robotic dogs? Why not just buy a real dog?
It's a really good question. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I guess with a real, a robot dog, you don't have to clean up after it. That's always nice. You don't have to feed it. Kibble's expensive, I guess. But no, I think it's a really interesting question. I think we're going to find the answer to that soon. With a lot of Chinese companies, their approach is always, well, we'll build it and see if there's a market for it. And if there isn't, we'll shift. And there has been interest just because it's starting to become possible to build these sorts of drones. Like a lot of companies have started to, or robots, they've started to make them. But whether there's actually a market for that, I don't think that's clear yet. I personally think, on the one hand, it might be cool to have C-3PO in my house, but on the other hand, it's like you're introducing this person-shaped thing into your house that isn't alive, and I think people might find that very different than buying a drone or buying a robot vacuum cleaner, and I'm not entirely sure if they're going to be as comfortable with that.
And they have to work as well, because we saw LG's didn't work when it launched it. The other thing I noticed is Google are here, and they're not normally here in such presence, because they're trying to push their AI as well.
Yeah.
Is this because they're really feeling challenged by Alexa and Amazon?
I think that's exactly what it is. Last year when we were at CES, Quartz said that Alexa won the event. They didn't even have a booth. Wherever you walked, you would see people saying they have Alexa integrations and products for the Echo. And I think Google, which has been the best competitor for the Echo, kind of realized that if they don't have a presence here, they're probably going to lose market share, or at least share of voice with people that are considering which of these assistants do I put in my product, which of them are actually useful. I mean, even just walking to this booth, I passed 10 different people wearing like Hey Google hats, and the monorail here has Google sponsorship on it. And I think they're really trying to push that and show that it's and arguably it's better in a lot of ways. I actually think that the Google Assistant is more useful in a wider range of applications. It's just that Amazon was the first mover with the Alexa.
Some of the robotics here, though, don't feel that new as well. You know, over there, and the camera can't see it, but over there is a robotic vacuum cleaner. Those things have been around for like 5 years?
10 years at this point,
So why are we seeing them here now?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that components are getting cheaper, and people are starting to accept them more. So, yeah, iRobot has been making Roombas for over 10 years now, but they're very expensive. They were at the, 5 years ago, they were $1,000. Whereas now you have Chinese companies like Anker, through their Eufy brand, able to sell them for $200 and be just as good, just as useful, and for a little more money you can have it work through Alexa, so you can say, Alexa, clean my floors, and it'll do it for you. So there's those kind of integrations, both with other partners, other things that we already use, and the fact that they're just getting much cheaper.
It's interesting that Baidu are here as well with this self-driving car, because obviously this is not their turf, so to speak. This is, where the likes of Uber are trying all that kind of stuff out. Do you think they feel confident that they're going to get a fair sort of hearing here?
I think so. I think partially just because of how diverse geographically the attendants are, and a lot of the companies here are not from the U.S. I did a survey for Quartz that you referenced on the companies that are here, and at least when it comes to like putting their own name in the titles, the vast majority of them are Chinese. And I don't think that the people attending necessarily are going to have any kind of issues with companies coming from wherever. Whether the end consumer feels the same way is harder to say. Baidu has their own version of the Echo through its DuerOS operating system, which I saw last night, and I thought it was great. I don't know if it'll get the same fair shake with the American consumer that an American, Seattle-based company might see.
Well, if they want to be seen, at least they're in the right place this week, because as we say, Rochelle, there really is something for everybody here at CES this year.